Marie, the Baguettes. Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer, talking movies. This is episode 224. I'm your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for joining us and listening to our show. Before we get started with the movie discussion, we got to go around and meet the fellow bros, and we start with our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Now, Ronnie,
hello.
We've watched.
We talked about this.
We talked about this.
Just got excited. My God.
This last week, we've watched a lot of horror movies, and so I just want to ask your opinion. Between these two parties, who would we have a better chance of winning against in court for murderous crimes against us? Would it be home invaders wearing weird masks, or the Catholic Church in Italy in the early 1970s?
Wow. Unfortunately, I'm going to say murderers with masks. Even though we don't have no idea who they are, and we can't trace their DNA, the Catholic Church is pretty untouchable in Italy. So, yeah, going masked murderers.
I feel like if we called the masked murderers to the stand, though, they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't even invoke the Fifth Amendment. Just not talk.
You guys are I would just love just once, the masked, silent murder, just sneeze. They're running around in the forest.
There could be a lot of pollen out there. It's very likely.
Don't tell me that they don't have allergies like all of us.
That would very much humanize them.
Yeah, you actually feel like, hey, they probably have a reason for doing this.
Or I always think in what fucking movie? It's in I think Saving Silverman, where they go into kidnap Jason Biggs' girlfriend, and Jack Black goes, "There's nothing in the refrit in the closet." he just starts eating their leftovers, which is what a real home invader would be like. Hey, what did they make for dinner last night? Let's check it out.
Yeah,
why not? Next we go to the mad scientist Brian Banner. Now, Banner, it's basically the start of summer here, and I know you and I are both big fans of the Ice Cream Man. So I got to ask, two-part question here. Number one, do you have any technology that you've designed that makes him easy to track? That way you know where he's at all times. And then, have you decided on a popsicle or ice cream treat of choice for the summer of 2024?
Okay, one, have you tried to stalk a stalker? It's impossible. There's no way to track the Ice Cream Man. You just got to open your ears, right?
Yeah.
No, I haven't decided. I'm more of an ice cream guy than a popsicle guy personally. I do like a good ice cream sandwich every once in a while.
Oh yeah. Have any of you guys had the Flintstones push pops? They're like creamsicles, kind of.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid. I haven't had one of them in a while.
I haven't either, but I remember them being the grape one being just fucking immaculate.
Yeah, I loved the grape one.
But I remember just being disappointed because I went through them in 30 seconds.
Yeah, they are relatively
they melted
small.
so fast.
Yeah.
You just got to eat them faster.
Brain freeze.
Who was it that was saying brain freeze isn't a thing?
What?
Ryan, was it your dog? Was it Baby Banner that was claiming that brain freeze doesn't exist and we had to have scientific?
Yeah, maybe, but she doesn't know what she's talking about.
But also, if she never has a brain freeze, let's not ruin that for her.
Oh, she has definitely had a brain freeze.
Well, I think when we saw her for her birthday, we were obviously not her because she was 6, but we were all drinking margaritas and my wife was getting brain freeze and Baby Banner's like, "That's fake. You're making it up." And I was like, "I swear it's a thing. It'll hit you one day." Is it something that adults get, when you go on a roller coaster and you can't stop the dizziness afterwards?
I don't know. Shakira Hayek is known for making up brain freezes.
That's true. Anything for attention, she'll
do.
All right. Well, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, typically we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. We lifted yesterday, though, guys. We got after it really heavy. Cycli came over and spotted me with my pregnant woman weights, the 7-pounders. So I think today we're just going to go straight into our protein shake, which is the part where we talk about what is in our cup, also known as what movies and TV shows have we watched lately. And today is a good one because we have a little bit of crossover, and I think we both just have a lot that we've seen since we last talked that we need to get off our chest here. So, Brian, why don't we start with you? What is in your cup, also known as what have you watched lately?
All right, let's start off with a movie that I was shocked that I didn't hate. That was the Kevin Hart classic Lift. Heist movie. The entire time I was watching it, I was just like, okay, when am I going to start hating Kevin Hart now? And it just never happened. Like, he didn't do anything. He wasn't like particularly great. He just didn't do anything stupid. It was a fun, quick heist movie. It kind of reminded me of like Fast and the Furious meets Ocean's 11.
It's way too complimentary.
It was too complimentary. I saw this pretty recently too. It's definitely like a Netflix algorithm movie.
Oh, for sure.
I liked Gugu Mbatha Raw in it, who was of course in Loki and in a couple other things. She's a good like foil for him, but I agree. I think the strength of this is he's not trying to Kevin Hart too hard.
Right. And that might be why I liked it, because like I was surprised that didn't happen.
Can I ask a question as someone who has not seen anything about this movie? I'm imagining, because I don't think I've ever seen Kevin Hart outside of this role. Is he like teamed up with a buddy? Or is he getting to be like the leading guy by himself?
Brian, I guess I'll let you answer.
He's the leading guy, I'd say, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but it's not like a buddy movie. Like, no, that's what I always
know.
Right, it's not like Ride Along or that movie he did with Mark Wahlberg. I can't remember the name of it.
Or The Rock, or just any of his movies.
Yeah,
literally any movie.
The lead, and his character, it just is not as ridiculous as classic Kevin.
He's got a little empathy.
Kind of does. Now, I don't know if I see him necessarily. He is like a Danny Ocean. I don't know if I see him as like some, like genius in terms of pulling off heists, but that's what he's asked to be in this. But it doesn't make him more subdued, which I think inherently makes his performance at least more like accessible for people. Like if you don't like the typical Kevin Hart, like I'm small. He's not really doing that in this, which is nice. Also, Billy Magnuson, who I thought was a scene stealer in Aladdin, is pretty good in this. As the guy that is like the safe cracker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like this wasn't great writing, wasn't a great original, crazy, awesome story, but nobody fucked up. It was just like real simple, down the middle action heist movie.
Is it streaming?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Oh, it is on Netflix. I thought you guys were saying it would work as a Netflix. Okay, cool.
It was definitely their algorithm movie.
Yeah.
I wish Vincent D'Onofrio had more to do, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but I'll always take more D'Onofrio.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not hate Lift. In fact, I don't know if it's still in the top 5, but I gave it a nomination for Best Action Movie of the Year.
Oh, nice.
So we'll see if it lasts.
Yeah, we're only halfway through the year. Still got some time.
Yeah. All right, anything else about Lift?
No, that's it.
It's like what's in your cup.
Well, I got a question for you, Jeff. Do we want to start with some things that we've done together recently, or should we go our separate ways and then meet here in the middle?
Wow. It's a really dramatic way of phrasing that. Whatever you want to talk about first.
So you're going to put it back on me here. So if I make the wrong decision, you have no responsibility.
I want you to talk about something different.
Okay. So
start with. I'll make the decision.
Robin Sparkles and I watched a little late to the game. And if you guys have watched it, but it was trending on Netflix for a while. But we watched Baby Reindeer.
Okay, I'm very intrigued by this because I've heard it's like something you need to watch, but I don't know if that's because it's good or bad.
Yeah, okay, so if you're intrigued about it, and I'm not gonna I won't do any spoilers or anything like that. It is, before I get into like the cast and the acting and all of that, like it is a difficult watch. It's labeled like a comedy / like black comedy, and black comedy is definitely like pushing it. It's pretty dark. I mean, it has some comedic moments, but I feel like the majority of it is actually more. It's almost, you feel awkward a lot. You feel uncomfortable. This is based on a true story, which I'll get into here in a second, but there's a lot of seriousness underwrapped in silliness, like the underlying tones. And I read a lot of people couldn't even finish it because of some of the subject matter that it,
really?
Yeah. And there were some scenes, like especially in the latter third of the episodes, that were really difficult to stomach. And I'm going to warn everyone, like if have been a victim of sexual assault or just that's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, that is absolutely something that the show focuses on. And not just that, but obviously it's about a stalker. It's about someone who's trying to make it in life and is having mental health issues, and he really has a stalker, but at the same time he doesn't know if he likes the attention the stalker is giving him.
Is he like a comedian? Sorry if you said that.
Yeah, he's very much at least looking like a failed comedian. And the stalker, I mean, she's not his stalker originally. He's really, this is in the first episode, so this isn't spoilers. Like, he works at a bar, and this like lady who's like desperate is crying, comes in, and she doesn't really have any money, and so he gets her a free free Coke or something like that, and she's just very taken aback, and it means a lot to her. You can tell how kind he is, and then she starts like it starts with her visiting him a lot in the bar, and then it just starts like escalating. But again, he's always friendly, and there's banter between them. It's not like, oh, this person's stalking me. And then there's a lot of like inner monologue of like, is he actually okay with this? Like, is he inviting this? Like, is it something he wants? Because obviously at the same time, he's so desperate for attention. He's trying to become a comic. He's trying to become a writer. He just wants validation from people, and his actual life is not great. So I don't. Netflix labels this as a comedy. It's. I mean, again, it has comedic moments.
Is the comedy just like his stand-up routine?
Yeah, I mean, again, like it's because he's sarcastic and witty. And I'm not saying it doesn't have silly elements, but damn, and this is supposedly a true story about the main character is playing himself, and it's a story about his life. And now I have questions about it. I might wait to see if one of you guys watch it to talk about. I have questions on the validity of how true this is. I'm not saying parts of it aren't. It's made to be like identically true, but a lot of it I feel like would be validated in real life in terms of like, if some of the things happen in the show happen in real life, it would be really easy to track down based on like police reports and court proceedings and things like that. So I haven't seen it called out for not being completely true. I'm not saying it's not, but it did raise that question to me.
I mean, it looks like short episodes, 7 episodes. Most of them are 30 minutes. Netflix does this thing where they'll just like randomly have like a 48-minute episode. They did the same thing with One Day. It was like, this one's 52 minutes. All the rest are 23. I was like, what do you just make it 2 episodes? But
yeah, the wife and I binged it in one weekend. It's an easy watch in terms of time. It gets more uncomfortable as you go. But Richard Gadd is the comedian, his name in real life, and his name in the show is Donnie Dunn. I think they changed names for everyone just for anonymity. But in terms of the performances and the writing, it was fantastic. There's a reason why I think it got blown up and why we watched it in one weekend. So I would recommend it, just with the caveat of it's not this fun time that it like leads itself to be.
Okay.
I think I'll pass. I'm gonna punt on that one.
I don't know. I'm kind of interested. We'll see. Do you think it's one that the wife would like, or is it like too dark?
I think Shakira Hayek would be. I would say watch the first episode and see where you go.
Okay.
It doesn't get heavy till really towards the end. I think she'd like it personally.
Right. I just feel like this is one of those things where it's like a cultural moment for the year that like I kind of need to partake in.
Yeah,
maybe I'm overstating it.
It would be fun to talk about on the pod for sure, because there's a lot I'm not saying.
Interesting. All right. Anything else on that?
No, it's going spoilers free. I pretty much covered as I could.
Okay. All right. I saw the Amazon Prime original, The Idea of You, with Anne Hathaway. Did either of you guys check this out?
No,
it's on the list. Hear good things.
I think Nate Thurman watched it. Anne Hathaway, she does interesting projects. Rarely does she do anything that stinks. So I'm usually pretty interested when she put something new out. The plot of this movie is essentially she is a mother to a teenage daughter. I think her daughter's like a senior in high school or something. And she takes her to like a Coachella type music festival to see like one of her favorite bands called August Moon. And while there, she has kind of a meet cute where she accidentally runs into August Moon's lead singer. And they slowly start dating kind of secretly. And then, it's like her having to deal with once she thinks it's like a legitimate relationship, how does she tell her family and how does the world handle it? I would not describe it as a romantic comedy. I would say it's just a straight up romance movie. But the band August Moon, one of the things I liked about this, they have an absolute banger of a song. And Cycly, as a fellow boy band fan, you would love this. It's called, you guys might want to write this down for Spotify. It's called Let My Guard Down by August Moon.
Is it on Spotify by chance?
Oh, yeah. It's already on my favorites playlist. It slaps.
I'm going to download it without even listening to it.
So they have like a ballad too, which of course, like every boy band had to have at least one of those per album. But Let My Guard Down is the banger, where like the five of them come out dancing, you know. They're supposed to be like a One Direction type band, but part of the fun of the movie is the character who Anne Hathaway starts dating is at the stage in his career where he's like, I know this is fucking ridiculous, like being in a boy band at like 27. We're all trying to get out, but we're just making so much goddamn money right now.
So what's their age? I mean, I'm assuming their age has part of the plot, or is it?
Yeah, like the age gap between them is a big part of it, and then but also it's like he is kind of at the point where he's like, I'm done banging like the 19-year-old groupies. Like I've done that like 1,000 times, and
yeah, we're all in our MILF era. I get that.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, it's funny because like Anne Hathaway, like to her credit, I could be wrong. I don't think she's had any work done, or if she has, it's very, very minor. So she's aging very, very gracefully. And so in the movie, they're like, oh my God, you're dating a fucking grandma. I was like, bro, if that's what grandmas look like let's go to the nursing home right now.
Sign me up.
Like Anne Hathaway is not like, we can't make it. She's so fucking old and wrinkly and ugly. Like, okay, yeah, that plays.
Okay, but Jeff, I do have photos of both of us dancing with women from, and I'm not even joking.
I know, and it made my wife jealous when she saw it.
She should have been.
Who's that bitch? And I think your wife was like, well, to be fair, she's probably been dead for like 7 years.
Yeah. Dead
Maybe
sexy.
Put away. She was dead sexy the day of that photo. They didn't show you the next song that started freak-a-leaking.
Pony comes on, you're like, oh shit.
So I think both you guys would like the idea of you, but I do have to say this, and I don't want to sound like this is going to be a common complaint that I have going forward. The average length of movies is just getting out of control, man. Like this movie is an hour 55. It has like a minute and a half of credits. That's too long for this type of film. It's too long.
No romance movie needs to be that long.
Absolutely. And yes, a lot of it
you get like an hour 38 with credits.
Exactly. And a lot of it does go into developing their relationship, but it just becomes like redundant. Like it's like essentially the scene serving the same purpose over and over, which I don't think drives the point home anymore. I think it's just it's like someone in the editing room should have been like, hey, we don't need 3 scenes where he writes a song for her in their hotel room. You know, like let's fucking relax. But I think that like our 40-minute mark is like, I'm going to sound like an old, but that's like the inflection point for me. If I see a movie that's over that and it's not like a blockbuster movie, I'm just like, what are we doing here, bro? There's no need. And this kind of falls victim to that. That's my one knock I would have on it. So the idea of you look up "Let My Guard Down" by August Moon. You guys will both love it.
It's already downloaded on my live songs.
Nice.
Like I can always unlike it, but you know,
yeah,
I'm giving it a shot.
You and your wife will be dancing around the house to it. I can almost guarantee it. All right, Ben, what else you got?
All right, I'm gonna go real quick one here, just because like I vividly remember early in the pod us talking about the Emoji Movie and like how terrible it was, and the idea of it was so dumb.
It's in your top 30 now, isn't it?
No, it is not. It is not. But like,
you're sick.
I did watch it with Baby Banner, and like I get it. Was it good? No. But like I get it. Actually ended up having a decent voice cast.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart's in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When I started looking, I was like, holy shit, like this actually has like a pretty decent cast. I didn't hate it. I'll just say that. Do I think we needed it? No, but I get
Who
it
did
at
Patrick
the time.
Stewart play?
Yeah, does it say which emoji?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I really hope it's the poop one.
He was the poop. That's right.
Nice.
And funny. Like, I mean, like, was there a decent comedy in this? Or was
Yeah,
it
I mean,
like...
it was like, okay, that was really dumb, but like you giggle at it, you know? You're like, and then you're like, okay, now I'm embarrassed that I'm giggling at this because it was so fucking stupid. It was things like that. I'm not recommending it by any means.
Okay,
I
just out of curiosity, and
yeah.
I'm not going to look it up. Can you give me like a 30,000-foot pitch on what is the plot of the Emoji Movie?
So there is an emoji that doesn't know what he is. He's supposed to be like a meh emoji, but he doesn't want to be a meh emoji. And it goes from there about him breaking the internet.
It's like a journey of self-discovery.
Kinda, yeah, but it's only 86 minutes long, which is the
wow.
perfect amount of time for this movie.
Excellent.
Okay, my question is there comedy? Because obviously when I think of the Emoji Movie, I just think of it's going to be just like obvious stupid humor. Is there humor for adults, or is it really geared for baby banner and kids?
I would say it's
or did they
geared
try
for,
to
like,
bridge it?
yeah, they try and bridge the gap. I wouldn't say super successfully, but it's just a run-of-the-mill family movie. Quick watch.
It's funny because I like, as a kid, I don't know why I thought this the other day, but like certain things would elicit a laugh from me just by their sheer existence. Like in Space Jam, when one of the Monstars' butts just comes out, and Lola Bunny says, "Nice,
Well,
nice
that's
butt."
funny.
Exactly.
Nice butt. I laughed at that. So Banner, is a lot of the jokes just like, here is a literal picture of poop. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, and like they like make fun of the poop emoji for being poop, and he's like this
mean.
obviously super like proper man, and everybody has their
So the
job
poop
to
emoji's
do.
like serious. That's actually
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it's so like
Well,
it's things
Patrick
like
Stewart.
that.
How do you
Yeah.
pitch Patrick Stewart that role?
You don't pitch it; you just show him the paycheck.
Yeah.
I played King Lear. I don't be poop.
Anyway, the Emoji Movie. It was it's not worth a watch, but like for dogging on it all those years ago, I mean, I was surprised.
I learned and this is kind of what I'll talk about this in a second. Well, I guess real quick, Cycling made a movie commentary on Madam Web, which is now on the channel. Go check it out. But it's almost like when these
I watched
movies,
that too.
when these movies have your reputation of being so bad, you come in and it's always just like there's no way it's that bad as people are saying. So they normally like kind of surprise you.
That may have been part of it for sure.
It always helps when you go in with low expectations. When you're at the floor, it's hard to get lower than that.
That's true. All right, anything else on Emoji Movie?
No. I watched Madam Web too, but
Yeah,
that was just...
why don't we just talk about Madam Web for our next one?
All right, so how would you tease our movie commentary aside from the fact that something happened to your mother while she was researching spiders in the Amazon?
Oh, well, you just spoiled it because there's nothing else to know. I think Jeff, you and I watched it together. Banner, you watched this on your own. The commentary was more honestly just like curiosity. Like we had heard all these things, we assumed all these things, and in so many ways it met all the horrible expectations, and in some other ways it wasn't as bad. Again, I think it does help when you had the low expectations. So it'll be interesting to revisit our commentary because I think you and I are just like intrigued in what's actually happening and trying to figure out if it's really as bad as the memes.
Could you figure it out? Because I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on.
No, it was an awful movie. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel like it was like, to me, we'll get into it. I feel like it was like the way you just described the Emoji Movie. I was at the floor, right? Again, my expectations. So it was not gonna like. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but it was also pretty awful.
Yeah, I mean, I went in like thinking that it was the dialogue's pretty bad, but I went in thinking that it was gonna be like high school improv theater. Like, wow, why did they just say that? The one thing I will tease
it was like community college improv instead.
that Cycling and I
Which
kind
is
of
worse.
have issues with, especially towards the end of the second act when like it's revealed that like this is the villain, quote unquote's motivation. The villain's, Banner, correct me if you think it's more complicated than this. His main motivating factor in the film is he doesn't want to be murdered in the future.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's trying to prevent himself from getting killed by 3 people. So, like, at face value, it's like, I get it.
The movie inherently doesn't make sense. Like the plot, like we talked about it on. Go listen to our commentary if you're a person. But like literally, like why did they need 3 girl characters? Right? Like you could have focused on one. The dialogue was just atrocious.
You could have just not fucking made the movie.
You could have just not made the movie. That would have saved all of us. The amount of people not pulling over for ambulances and fire trucks, dear
Brian,
God.
Oh my God. I had a freaking aneurysm.
That's what we said. We're like, this is probably where Brian turned off the movie after the second time that they didn't pull over for an ambulance.
God, she even had her lights on and the siren. Like,
I mean, what else can we do aside from getting in your car and literally pulling over for you?
All right, I have a question to both of you. Which villain was like which one shouldn't have been a villain between Madam Web and Morbius? Because both villains, in my opinion, have valid claims of doing what they're doing. One wants to survive. The other tried to save his best friend. And the best friend got pissed.
Man, that's tough.
Because these movies both kind of had too much in common.
I think Morbius.
Yeah, I'll say Morbius only because, spoiler alert for the first 10 minutes of Madam Web, that guy kills like innocent villagers. And the guy in Morbius, I don't really think, I mean, maybe he like is going to potentially kill some innocent people, but he definitely feels like everyone he kills, you're like, yeah, I would have killed that person.
He literally was like hurt by the best friend's reaction and then only starts killing people.
Yeah. But they're both, like, if you laid out their motivations, you're like, oh, these are the villains?
I kept asking that, and that's why I was like, did I miss something? Because the villain in Madam Web, it makes no sense. Also, I have a question for Banner and Jeff
really
that we tried to figure out on the commentary. Madam Web is spelled with 2 B's, but her name isn't Web with 2 B. Like, I don't understand that. What was it? Like, why is it 2 B's and 1 B? Like, which one is it?
I couldn't figure that out either.
I have no idea.
That's one
of those things you either buy it or you don't, okay?
But who in the department said, hey, we're going to do 1B even though her name is 2 B's?
Also, we talked about this. She's like not like she's in the comics, but she's like, I'm trying to think of a
15
Batman.
seconds.
Right. This would be like Detective Flass in Batman Begins getting its own movie. Like, yeah, they're there, but like they have one line per comic. They're not really like a character that has any like backstory or narrative surrounding them. Great.
All right, last thing. Morbius or Madam Web, which one is better?
This is gun to my head. That's fucking hard. Man.
I would say Morbius.
I think Morbius
is better.
I think so.
Yes.
I think maybe Morbius had more ebbs and flows. I think Madam Web was consistent the entire time, and I'm not saying in a good way. But Morbius, when it was bad, was really bad. Morbius when it was good, it was like fun. So like I feel like they end even.
Morbius
Morbius
had better
is more
special effects as well.
Morbius is more entertaining. I'll say that. Madam Web doesn't have a lot of entertainment.
Way to lawyer that question. I'm going to answer the question without answering the question, but leave you with a question.
I just don't want to die with someone saying that guy really likes Madam Web. I'm like, no, I didn't. You're taking that out of context.
Trust me, at your funeral, there's so much shit we're gonna say about you that.
Oh God.
Come up.
Yeah.
Glad I'll be dead for that.
Good tease, Cycly. If it's a Friday night and you want to get drunk and do something stupid, put on our Madam Web commentary and fire it up on Netflix. We'll have fun. Cycly, what else have you seen?
I'm trying. Okay, so this will be a quick one because I mentioned this last time I was on the pod, and we're about to share a lot of them. But I'm deep into my Game of Thrones rewatch now. Banner, I am now in mid-season 4. And so I have seen the red wedding, and now I've seen the white wedding.
Love is in the air.
Spoil it. I would, I still hope one day Jeff will watch it. So,
Yeah.
I think I might watch the red wedding just because I've heard how iconic it is.
You can't. The thing is, it's iconic to get there, but you can't stop there. No, you can't. He can't.
You know
stop.
how I'm usually. Yeah, you know I'm always about. Hey, I don't mind spoilers because it's about the journey. Like this is definitely about the journey.
Yeah, and I'm not at the point yet, clearly, to where like Game of Thrones started dropping off. I'm probably about a season and a half away. Before that point, maybe 2 seasons. I will say though, as revisiting this banner, and I know you'll probably be interested in this more, is once I hit the red wedding, really demotivated me to continue, because one,
I can
rewatching
totally see that.
Yeah, one, it's as gut wrenching as always. Like it's just, even though you know what's coming for some reason, it's like when you watch you know the result of a sport, like a game of your favorite team, and then you watch the highlights or you rewatch the game because you recorded it and you're sick, and you keep seeing like, well, maybe this somehow in your back of your head, like just something will go different. Like University of Tulsa in the Elite Eight against North Carolina. I'm like, yeah, but what if this time I look at the highlights and they win? Like that's how I felt. Like I just knew it was going to happen, but like in your head, you still almost can't accept it. And it was hard for me to continue. And I was only really motivated to continue because of the satisfaction of the white wedding. And, only 4 episodes later. And then I realized now, once we're past the white wedding and now Tyrion's been arrested, and that how dramatic and good that court case was, with him doing the trial by combat and everything like that, like it's picked up again. But I'm starting to get to the point where I think we're about to enter in a huge lull in entering season 5. So
if I remember watching it, it was season 5. I remember being underwhelmed, and that was kind of the beginning.
And then season
of the
6
end. I think you've hit the peak.
Yeah, I've hit the peak. That's the thing. And I know season 6 is fantastic because that's when Daenerys finally lands. And I'm just, it will be interesting to see you guys ask me in the next couple of weeks, on the next couple episodes, did I abandon the rewatch? I don't know that I'm going to make it all the way through. I'm still enjoying it, and it's been, Game of Thrones is as great as ever and one of the most iconic shows of all time. But I can see myself start getting a little demotivated.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to like put yourself through that pain again.
No, and like Brian said, I've hit the peak.
I'm sure. I mean,
it's not going to get any better from here.
No. There will be some scenes that I can think of that are like iconic, and I can't wait to see. But there's a lot in between. Yeah.
Yeah.
When does the new House of Dragon season come out? I just saw a trailer for it today.
I think we're a month away?
July, maybe August. It's soon.
Yeah. It's soon.
And
the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised they had any money left for a second season of that.
No, Jeff, if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but it's like 500 years before or something like that.
Shit, that's a lot of years.
Is it that many?
I mean, it might not be that many, but it's not 100. It's definitely like multiple generations, not like 2.
Yeah, I think it's 3 generations, maybe.
No, it's more than that for sure.
No, the Mad King was just born, wasn't he?
No. He's not even born for like this is the Civil War of the Targaryens. This is well before that.
Wonder what show I watched.
I don't know.
We watched Apartment of the Dragons. It's a smaller.
Yes,
thing, yeah.
That's it. All right, Jeff, what you got?
All right, I'll just tease this real quick. Cycly and I did a spoilers review of The Strangers, Chapter 1. I don't want to tease too much of our thoughts. Check it out. It's on our channel now. We're huge fans of the OG Strangers, and this movie, it was like happening a few years ago, then it wasn't, and then it was obviously like back on the radar with a trilogy in the works. So that had us pretty pumped. So check out that review just to hear what we had to say about that. I watched, Brian, this is a movie you saw a little while back and recommended to me, Boss Level on Hulu.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, with the cast is actually like pretty insane. Frank Grillo, Mel Gibson, Naomi Watts, Michelle Yeoh, Gronk.
Gronk.
Cycling and I's favorite from Annabelle Wallace. What's the James Wan movie she did? Malignant. And then Silent Night. She's in it a little bit briefly. The cast is insane, although Michelle Yeoh is totally wasting this. She's in like 2 scenes. The plot, as you might have heard Banner describe on a previous episode, is Frank Grillo's character is basically like reliving. It's a Groundhog's Day, but it's like action movie style. So he progresses. It's they call it boss level because it's like a video game. Like he gets further into the level each time, but he survives longer and longer each day as he like figures out like who is attacking him, when are they attacking him, things like that. But there is a plot device surrounding his child and Naomi Watts' his ex-wife, who he had the kid with, and their involvement in sort of what's happening. So, Banner, I had a lot of fun with this. I mean, it's I believe a Hulu original.
Yeah,
it shows it's. I mean, it is what it is. It's like a fun direct-to-streaming action flick. It doesn't hold back on the gore. There's not
there's
much
some great
to
kills.
It. Yeah, some really good action choreography. Not much to it. Definitely like a paycheck gig for a lot of the actors involved, but for what it was, I had a lot of fun with it, and I would recommend it to somebody just because if you like action movies, it's kind of I love time loop films as well, and so this was kind of like a cool mesh of those two.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like how it was narrated and played like a video game. That was a little bit different. I mean, they essentially didn't do anything different of a loop movie other than how they told the story, right?
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed that. It was a nice little clever twist. But yeah, again, like I said, just a fun, quick action movie, easy watch. Just, while you're, I don't know, hanging out for an hour and a half.
One of my favorite things in time loop movies is like the progression of emotions that the protagonist always goes through. Like at first, like they're like, oh, how the fuck do we get out of this? And then there's always that moment of resignation with like, you know what? I give up. I don't even care anymore. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then they kind of like figure something out and then they like come back to it, which is always a fun part for me. What did you think of the quote unquote, without spoiling it, the quote unquote twist, I guess?
It was fine. Hold on. Let me look it back up. Let me see if I have any notes here.
So I guess it basically involves like how Frank Grillo got started in the loop.
If I remember right, I liked it.
Yeah, it got a little. That's where it kind of lost me.
Yeah, it started to. If I remember, the third act got a little wild.
Yeah, and I think I kind of like in time loop movies when like you don't really know why it's happening. Like Groundhog's Day. Groundhog's Day is like, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. But boss level, I don't know how long it'll be on Hulu, but it was an original, so hopefully they get rid of it. All right, Banner, what else you got?
Banner, by the way, I looked up 200 years.
200 years. See, I told you I was right. All right, I'm gonna switch gears here. Go to TV. Guys, you guys know I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan and the Jurassic Park franchise. And the sequel series to Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous came out. Jurassic World Chaos Theory. This happens 6 years after the events of Camp Cretaceous, and
which is happening simultaneous to Jurassic World, right? Or
the first season, the first, I guess, 8 or 10 episodes happens during the time frame of the first Jurassic World movie. Then they're like trapped on the island for like I think a year and a half or 2 years. So they're off the island before they go and take the dinosaurs to the state in California.
Got it.
They've escaped since then. So this is going on a few years after what is that? Fallen Kingdom?
Yes, and then it's Dominion.
Yeah. So one of the characters actually works for like a dinosaur herding like preservation team. Without spoiling anything, but this does a great job of jumping off of where Camp Cretaceous ended, while advancing these characters. They are older. The subject matter is a little bit older. This isn't spoiling anything because you find out in the first like 15 minutes they killed a character off from Camp Cretaceous.
Off screen?
Yeah, just straight up. I mean, she's dead.
Weak.
It is, except for that is what the entire show is based around, is why and how she died. It sounds weak. I thought it was weak as well, especially because there was rumors that it was Jenna Ortega who voiced the character. That
oh wow! Well, there you go.
And they said that they did it because her schedule was too busy.
Dude,
that was a rumor that was going around.
That shit.
Yeah. So I don't know that I necessarily believe that. If again, it's a daunting task, but if you get a chance to watch it, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. You guys know I'm a sucker for extended universes where you got all these different stories happening simultaneously.
Yep.
This is just another great addition to the Jurassic Park franchise.
These are on Netflix?
Yes. 23-minute episodes, 10 of them.
Oh, wow.
Dude, they're super quick watches. I think there's 4 or 5 seasons of Camp Cretaceous, and then obviously we have the 1 season of Chaos Theory, and I think they've greenlit at least a second, if not a 3rd season as well.
Nice. Is the animation style like 3D type animation?
Kinda. It's similar to it's like what Frozen would be, or like Moana.
Okay, so it's not like it's not 2D style.
No, it's not like old school like X-Men style or like Batman
or like X-Men 97 style. Even.
No, it's not like that.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. All right, Cycly, what else?
If you want to, I'll tag team this one. If you want to jump in on the second end, I'm going to go with twin movies that just came out. And when I say twin movies, there's movies that come out around the same time that are extremely similar in their plots. And like you can think of Deep Impact and Armageddon, you can think of A Bug's Life and Ants, and there's quite a number of those like that. This was 2 movies, one Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney, and one The First Omen, which is a prequel to the original Gregory Peck Omen. So, Jeff, I know you watched The First Omen also, so I'll start with Immaculate. Both of these movies, without trying to give too many spoilers, revolve around an American woman who is in the process of fulfilling her vows to become a nun. And they are traveling to Italy from America to fulfill those vows. One, they're both working in an orphanage in Italy. And in that sense, there's obvious things that are going on that aren't so pure. Immaculate's plot, again, it's hard to differentiate.
Sorry, real quick, is Immaculate set like contemporary, or does it not even really matter when it is?
It's like, more contemporary, but I don't think that really doesn't come into play. I don't think it's completely modern, if I recall correctly. I don't recall her having like a cell
She doesn't
phone.
like look something up on the internet or anything.
No. And I could be complete. Like, I mean, I don't think it was 60s-esque or early 70s of The First Omen. So, it's what I'll say is this, because I don't want to go too deep into it. These are relatively newer movies, so I want to give people a chance to watch them. They're both streaming now. Immaculate, really great start. Really, I mean, the very first opening scene is fantastic, sets the tone of the movie. Arguably might be one of the best scenes. And the first 30 minutes have this aura of like grittiness, creepiness, like you're in this orphanage with these nuns, but clearly like something malicious is going on in the background. She's hallucinating. You don't know if it's a product of they're drugging her or she is just, anxious. And then the film, and I think that this is a common thing I saw online, so I didn't feel like I was too far overreading this. it goes from what you feel like is this like creepy orphanage and maybe a little supernatural, you're not sure what's going on, maybe culty, to all of a sudden what feels like almost very actiony, and it really it feels disconnected. The second
Weird
act to the
jump.
it you feel it in the film. First, it's a very short film, so that helps. So it's like an hour 30, hour 35. First 30, 40 minutes, really great. The next 45 minutes, really one extremely rushed. It feels like there's a director's cut somewhere that has much more detail.
Or maybe I worked at the studio and I was like, you got to get this at an hour 40 or under.
Yeah, exactly. People came to see Sydney Sweeney and that's it. It really gets kind of gimmicky and a little over the top, and it loses its sense of horror. It doesn't become a horror film anymore. It becomes a little bit of body gore maybe, but that's about it. But then the very last 2 minutes, Sydney Sweeney, you can credit her as an actor or not credit her as an actor or rate her as an actress, like whatever. She delivered her probably best performance I've ever seen in the last 2 minutes. She's very bad, in my opinion, when she's just being normal. But Sydney Sweeney can do it when she's needing to be dramatic, emote. Yeah, whether in a funny way, like in Anything But You, or in a dramatic way like this. So it wasn't big on it. I don't think it was that great. It's worth a watch in terms of the length. But the real winner in this battle of these twin movies was First Omen. And I believe First Omen for me was in my top 100. I think it was like number 100 or 99 or something like that.
Damn.
And I love the First Omen because
sorry.
It's a weird. Sorry. Sorry. I kept having problems with that because I told my wife I was watching the First Omen. She goes, "You've seen it before." I go, "No, I haven't. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Wait, that's fucking confusing." Sorry. Yeah. The original Omen. I'm going to say the original Omen is in my top 100. I love that movie. It was an experience I had with my sister when I was younger. One of the reasons why I and her love horror movies. I credit it with that. All the other Omen movies that have come and gone have been very, some of them have been bad, some of them have been just
It's
fine.
A tough concept to like keep extending out, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because the creepiness inherently is Damien as a child.
It's very different from if you play that out.
Yeah.
But First Omen, I'm excited to talk to you and hear what you're about to say. Like, this is one of the best horror movies I've seen in a long time. This is everything Immaculate wasn't, in terms of this was well written, well scripted. The visuals, the score. This was genuinely creepy and scary in so many ways, but it was well thought out. Like every character had a purpose and an intent, and you were drawn in. And it also honors the original, which we talk about retconning all the time nowadays with Hollywood going back and forth on stories. And this one honors the original in every single way. I had very low expectations, so I will say that, so maybe that's why I loved it so much. But this really hits it, guys. Like, this is a fantastic film.
Yeah, so and to your point about I watched this after you saw it on your recommendation. To your point about I haven't seen Immaculate, but the issues being the pacing in the second act. This movie had incredible pacing. Like, sometimes when you're doing like the religious cult horror, it can get a little slow because a lot of it is like you need to establish the setting at this convent and like, Italy and everything. But every time you felt like this thing was starting to let its foot off the throttle a little bit, it would shift it into a higher gear. And the way that it's, I think, narratively put together, I felt like I was this girl, like going to Italy. Like everyone seems nice at first, and then you start to realize, like, all right, there's some fucked up shit going on here. I don't know. Yeah. Like I felt this level of mistrust with all the characters, and it, like you said, visually, it looked fucking incredible. Like that was one of the big highs for me. I was not expecting to like this movie as much as I did, and I know it's been kind of a weak year for horror so far, but this is, I think, the Brosker front runner for best horror movie, and right now I don't think anything's really that close behind it.
Bold statement.
Yeah, easily front runner. I mean, on it, like I this would, if I had to think, gun to my head, is probably better than any horror I saw last year too.
We don't normally do this, but if you want, I can read, because every time a bro watches a movie and they're like, yeah, let's nominate that for the Broskers. We have 5 per category and they get knocked off as something better comes along. This is what we have for horror right now: Late Night with the Devil, Abigail,
like
Immaculate, The Strangers Chapter 1, and The First Omen. So right now, I think The First Omen wins in pretty much a landslide.
And I really like. I mean, I have that on my list too, but I really like Late Night with the Devil too, considering what it was. But I think I liked it in a different way. Like First Omen is a genuine horror. Like it's a good, but it also has that plot. Like
Yeah.
I feel like someone like Banner would, enjoy it because it's more than just trying to scare you.
And to your point about retconning, I hadn't seen the original Omen in a long time, probably like, I don't know, I probably watched it with you, Psyche, the last time I saw it. But the way that this movie ends, obviously I won't spoil anything, but not only does I think it work really, really well as a retcon and really just kind of adds to the original Omen, but there's even the possibility to extend this universe and like make a direct sequel to this movie that I would be really excited about if they did.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like, okay, well, they made the prequel, it would be getting blood out of a stone at this point. I'm like, no, man, make the fucking sequel to this because I'm intrigued.
Oh yeah, and for those listening who love the Omen, this ends right at the beginning of the original. Yeah. I know that I'm not trying to compare them, but this felt like a Rogue One to A New Hope in the sense of like how these movies played into. I'm not saying like right, like that. I'm not but like that's really what this felt like.
I love
like
that.
It ends with like Vader coming in, killing everybody. With this one, it's just the birth of the Antichrist, which you know.
I don't know where I heard this, but someone was like, I think what a lot of these studios do now is they take their IP and they like look at like an original movie that they had like way back when, and they try and pick out like certain lines, and they're like, could that line be a movie in and of itself?
Oh yeah.
And with the Omen, like I haven't seen the original one, the first one, in the Gregory Peck one, in quite a while, but the beginning gives you a little bit of backstory as to like what this movie picks up from, but it's never anything where you feel like, oh wait, what? They need to explain that more. But then you see this movie and you're like, you know what? There actually is a lot of meat on the bone with that part of the story.
Yeah, and it's a lot of times like, hey, we didn't need that story like a la Madam Web. It's like, what do I need that for? Like this, like you're like, oh shit, I didn't think I needed this, and then they do it, and you're like, oh no, they had a story to tell here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Hulu and Disney Plus somehow. Disney, like, it's just the weirdest thing. I watched this on Disney Plus, guys.
But now when you click it,
Disney Plus has been shoving it down my throat.
But it takes you into Hulu, right? When you
click it, it didn't take me to Hulu. It said Disney presented by Hulu.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's like when I paused it, like all the Disney stuff came up.
I think eventually we're not going to have Hulu. I think Disney Plus is going to absolve Hulu.
So on mine, if I remember right, Hulu is one of the hubs, like National Geographic or Marvel.
Yeah, that's how mine is.
Makes sense. All right, Cycling, anything else on First Omen or Immaculate?
No, I think I think a lot of people thought Immaculate would win that battle going in, and it's pretty clear based on reviews and comments I saw online that like First Omen dominated that one.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away at how much I liked it. All right, last thing I'll talk about, speaking of Disney Plus, the Jim Henson documentary, Jim Henson Idea Man, just came out. And I was really interested in this because Cycling and I think Banner might be too, we're massive fans of the Muppets.
Oh, love the Muppets.
Yeah, I mean, they're iconic, a huge part of my and our childhood. I still think they're fucking hilarious. Everything they put out, I check out. Have we done a commentary on their Haunted Mansion special? I think we did.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
I'll have to look it up. Jim Henson, I really didn't know much about his story. Like I knew him and Michael Eisner had a good relationship. He obviously sold the Henson Company to Disney before his death. I knew he created a lot of these characters. I knew he did a lot of other projects with his work, like Pan's Labyrinth and The Dark Crystal, which are both pretty big parts of this documentary. His story, like, he doesn't really have. And actually, we haven't done a commentary on that Muppets Haunted Mansion. We'll have to do that Halloween.
I thought we did. I thought you and I did it.
No, it's not in our.
Maybe you just never made it to.
I don't think that's the case. But the Jim Henson story, there's not like a lot of drama in it, but definitely his like towards the end of his life, I won't spoil it if people don't know like exactly what happens to him, but like his, I'm trying to think how to say this without spoilers. His career really ends up costing him a lot of things in his personal life. And in the documentary, they have all the key players you'd want to hear from. They have all of his kids. They have his late wife. They have Frank Oz, who obviously is the voice of like Yoda and helped create a lot of these characters. And of course does Miss Piggy's voice. And actually them when they go through the like inception and creation of Miss Piggy, it's hilarious. So it's like, I don't know if you know this, there was a skit they did on like one of his original Muppet shows, not the Muppet Show, but like his like Muppet like sketches, and it was this group of pigs who were like, Kermit was like the conductor and they were like singing, and Frank Oz had this character idea, and he was like, what if one pig just like thinks that she's like the star of the show, and throughout the whole performance keeps like nudging herself like closer to the front and trying to like sing louder. Yeah. And then he's like, and at the end, I like accidentally, when I was like doing this Muppet like singing, I accidentally like karate chopped Kermit.
Is that seriously how it started?
Yes, he's like, and everyone started dying laughing. He's like, and then every time we would put them in the skit together.
Wait, that's how fucking Miss Piggy got the chop? Holy shit.
and it has the original sketch, and it's hilarious. She's like starting to sing like this, and he accidentally like hits Kermit, and Jim Henson like goes with it, and so then it cuts to like it's like a montage of all her karate chops throughout there.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's
I can't wait to watch this.
Yeah, and then also it shows like Rolf was actually the second Muppet that they ever had, and he did a bunch
it's
of
really modern times that Rolf got kind of cast aside.
Yeah, which Jim Henson's probably rolling over in his grave looking at that. But Rolf did, I think the first thing he ever did was a Purina dog chow commercial. And it's him with like a golden retriever, and Rolf has like a sandwich that he's eating, and he's like, can I have a bite of that? So
I do love him in the newest one, in the Jason Segel's, like when the montage scene, and Rolf is like, oh, good time for me.
Right. And actually how they like puppeteer Rolf, it's crazy. It takes two people, because one person is doing his mouth and then the other person does both of his hands, because he has human hands. Damn. Same with Swedish Chef. So seeing that was really cool. But Cycler, I think you would especially like this too, because I know you're a big Pan's Labyrinth guy, and they do like 15 minutes on Pan's Labyrinth.
Wait, on Pan? You mean The Labyrinth?
Sorry, what's the one with David Bowie?
Yeah, Labyrinth. Yeah.
Yeah,
because Pan's Labyrinth is like that Spanish Civil War. Yeah. Love Labyrinth. That I'm all of that. Like, so can I just say this? Like, I always assumed, and I think I'm right in some ways, but I always assumed like the origination of the Muppets was like heavily inducing drugs. and so because this is a Disney documentary, like do they talk about that?
They don't get into like any of his vices outside of like he was basically a workaholic, and a lot of times like neglected his kids, and it affected his relationship with them and his parents to the point that like his kids for a long time were very averse to like being a part of the Henson workshop.
Oh, really?
Because they were like, this essentially cost me like a lot of time with my dad. Like, he was here at the expense of our family. But as they became like teenagers, he had them all involved. Like on Labyrinth, his daughter was like one of the main people like sewing the costumes. And he had another daughter who was like a really good puppeteer. And then, of course, his son Brian took over as Kermit's voice.
And then did the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, he did. That was the first motion picture he did Kermit's voice for.
Wow.
Which they talk about, yeah. And then one of his other kids they talk about came up with Rizzo, the idea of Rizzo. He had like this little like rat doll, and his mom caught him one time like wiping down their stovetop, and that's how they got the idea in Muppets Take Manhattan of all the mice are like skating on the diner.
I love that scene. Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah. So
it's incredible to hear these stories, like how Miss Piggy could have easily not been anything, like, and now she's a feminist icon, what I mean? It's like, it's wild.
The iconography behind her karate chop is ridiculous. And it actually doesn't talk about it as much as you'd think, but he has so many iconic creations. But Sesame Street is discussed, but a little bit on the back burner. But if we're being honest, that's probably the thing that has lasted the longest. Like I don't know the statistics, but as far as like longest running programs, like maybe a few soap operas beat Sesame Street, but that thing's been around since like the 70s.
Oh yeah.
So running on like
We're
50
all raised
something
on the
years.
street.
Yeah, exactly. So Jim Henson, Idea Man. It's an hour 45 minutes, I think. But if you're a Muppets fan, and maybe you watch it in two settings, but it had me pretty emotional by the end of it.
Can't wait to watch.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to share?
No, I'm good for tonight.
Cycly, have you seen anything else?
I'm a sick person that can always keep going because I have no life at all.
Yeah,
But
no,
I'm
I mean,
good.
I have more to talk about. I just
Yeah, so do I. I'll save these for either a squad blog or one of our episodes coming up. All right, that brings us to the last part of our show. And that parrot called it out. It's our Do You Even Lift Bruh segment, our question and answer segment, where we go around and talk about what is in our cup, also known as What Have We Watched Lately? The question that we're asking tonight is, what are the bros' top 100 movies of all time? We've been counting down this list for about the past year. Before we dive into the list again tonight and continue the countdown, Brian, why don't you explain to the people what these lists are? Because as we always say, they're not like a film student's top 100 movies of all time. They're very unique to us.
Yeah, this is my top 100 movies. This doesn't mean that I think these are the 100 best movies that I've ever seen. These are my personal top 100 movies. They're tied to something nostalgic or a weird event, or you know what? I don't know why, but I just fucking like it. Okay, so sue me. It's my
We
list.
are planning on suing you if you see people out there. If you see Banner's list, we are conducting a lawsuit because it is quite disturbing.
Every week we just compile more and more evidence against him.
Your Honor, I know this is difficult to look at, but we must do what must be done.
Look, I'll do the time. I did the crime.
You'll be in jail. What are you in for? I put together a pretty controversial top 100 movies list. Oh.
Have you seen the Emoji Movie? Yeah, that was number 14.
The guy's like, oh, I burnt down an orphanage, but I think we might be on the same level here with our films.
Makes sense.
All right.
We're sillies.
On the description of this podcast and on our website, broforsquad.com, at the top of the homepage, you will find the link to the Google Sheets where we continue this countdown as we go. It has all 5 bros listed. And as we pick up today, Cycly, we'll let you go first. We are all counting down, and at the same point, we're all at our number 37 movie of all time. Cycly, right before this, you introduced us to your number 38 movie of all time, which is an absolute classic, although I'm actually surprised it's this low, and that was the 1994 Lion King. So what is
one
ahead
pro
of that?
Scar? You know, that movie really just went south for me fast.
That's fair.
My number 37 is Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. This, I think I've entered into, this might be, no, there's one more, I think. There's one more Quentin movie on my list, I think. But when we talk about, again, 1,000 times on this show about the opening scene, right, sets the tone. This might be a top 10, top 5 opening scene in any movie in history. Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz plays.
Oh, that's right. The milk.
Yeah, he goes in the French barn, townhouse or house, not townhouse. And is investigating, looking for Jews that have been hidden, and he drinks the milk at this farm and talking to the Frenchman, and it's all so subtle, and he's so friendly, you know, and he's just like talking about his situation, and he, without even torturing the soul, without even doing anything but conversing with just an aura of fear and evil that, I mean, Christoph Waltz is one of my most iconic performances ever. And, you know, you see the 3 Jewish daughters, I think it's 3 sisters hiding in the basement listening. Talk about setting the tone. I think,
The
I mean, that
tension in that
alone,
scene.
the I mean, it's just like, I don't even know if he has music. I mean, it's like a 15-minute scene in a very Quentin Tarantino type way. My God, like it's like they could have done anything else after that scene, and it's that scene alone carried it.
And you don't
Obviously,
even feel the length of it because you're like gripping your arm.
no, exactly. You feel like just scared. So yeah, we got Brad Pitt, Eli Roth. I mean, a great cast. Michael Fassbender, and so many others. But there's a certain thing I like about this film is obviously killing Nazis, and which is great. You know, everyone can get on board with that. But it's really the tension that this film visits that is so fantastic, because I talk about the first scene, then when I take down to the scene when they're in the bar, in that basement bar, and they're posing as Germans, and the thing that gives them away is when they do the three wrong. And isn't Michael Myers like he's like a British general? It's so
but he
weird.
has like a lot of prosthetic makeup on him too.
And obviously at the end, a fantastic cinematic conclusion in the movie theater, which Quentin loves to do, and getting to kill Hitler in an alternate universe like Quentin loves to do. It's just, again, this movie to me is so iconic because it's not just like a World War II movie. There's so many others. It's the constant tension this movie delivers, and it's rewatchable, and it's funny. Brad Pitt trying to speak Italian is buongiorno. It's
Italian.
just, yeah, it's a fantastic film, and one of, if this was a top list of the best movies we've ever seen, this would absolutely be so much higher.
For me, I think this was the first thing I ever saw Christoph Waltz in.
God, so amazing, right?
It's a high bar.
Did that yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so that's what this guy does every time out. He's like, well, then the Green Hornet came out, and we were like, oh, I guess that's not fair.
Yeah, that was even better, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a absolute classic. Tarantino in his peak form. All right, Banner, your number 38 was the comedy movie Stripes. There's one ahead of that at number 37.
Disturbia.
Oh, nice.
I fucking love this movie. I think this is the best adaptation of Rear Window out there. This came out like April of my senior year of high school.
Now, hold on.
So,
just to clarify, do you think this is better than Rear Window?
No, I don't think anything that is a remake of something can be better than it, right?
I'm sorry, Banner, if you haven't seen Clubhouse Detective, also in my top 100, you cannot.
I know
say
it is.
It
is on my list. I was actually going through my list of things to watch, and Clubhouse Detectives is on there.
Banner,
maybe in a year from now will be perfect for her.
Now you have Rear Window on your list at 51, but just because you think Disturbia is a better movie does not, because I think it's definitely different enough to where that doesn't necessarily mean that you think it's a better version of that story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think Rear Window, Disturbia is what it is because of Rear Window. So Rear Window inherently has to be a better movie. I just like Disturbia better. That's the glory and the nice thing about these lists is It's my list. This movie was relatable. Like I was saying, this came out like April of my senior year of high school. Obviously, he gets in trouble, so he's on house arrest over that summer. I didn't. I could go wherever I want that summer, but still, like very similar time frames of when it was. So it was just super relatable to me, and it just again, great tension, great like paranoia. It's fantastic. I love it.
Peak Shia LaBeouf, by the way, before he really goes down the deep end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Carrie-Anne Moss as his mom. I think they have a really like realistic rapport.
Mm-hmm.
I love Disturbia.
Yeah, it is really, really good. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Great opening again. I mean, my God, that beginning scene is just squat wrenching.
What's the opening scene of that again?
It's when his dad dies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, in the car.
Yeah, that's why he's like all angry at the world.
His neighbor, she was like in one other movie, I think, like some cheerleading movie, but she kind of gives me like 0 Calorie Blake Lively vibes.
Ooh, yeah, I can see that.
Like lettuce wrap Blake Lively.
Yeah.
When your mom's like, we have Blake Lively at home. Do we? I'm glad that was on your list because that's when I kind of want to rewatch that now.
I do a commentary on it.
Yeah, we should do it. That would be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right.
All right. My number, we're moving really fast here. My number 38 was the 2001 Ocean's 11. Speaking of commentaries, check out our commentary on that. I think it has the most views of any of our videos, like 700,000, something like that. That was a blast. But just ahead of that, at 37, I have the movie I led off the show with a quote from the 1991 animated classic, Beauty and the Beast. Iconic in a ton of ways. Bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour. I think we can all agree that the music is absolutely iconic, even aside from the Beauty and the Beast song. Of course, we have Be Our Guest. The opening sequence with the Marie the Baguettes.
Again, three movies with fantastic opening sequences tonight.
Yeah. And my personal favorite song is the Gaston song. No one thinks like Gaston. No one drinks like Gaston. It's just an incredible movie. They do a lot of cool stuff with the animation. Like the first time I can remember 2D with 3D background imaging. If you remember the ballroom dance scene, like the character of Belle and Beast are in 2D animation, but as the camera like pans across the floor, it's a 3D environment, which was like fucking insane. And this is one of those movies where it's like the movie is great, but for like the voice cast, I mean, it's solid, but it's not like The Lion King, where it's like this thing is also being held up because we have James Earl Jones and Jeremy Irons and Whoopi Goldberg and Jonathan Taylor Thomas. No, I mean, this movie is just like just really
Matthew Broderick hot as shit back then.
Exactly. Just really well written. It's an absolute classic. And it's one of those rare movies where I can almost guarantee you that, like, if you're out with a group of friends and someone's like, hey, let's throw on Beauty and the Beast real quick before we go out. No, very few people in that room will object to it.
It's beautifully animated. Like it might be of the original class. Like when we talk about Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, and Little Mermaid, it might be the most visually beautiful animated one.
Yeah, and especially if you think about like the contrast of color, like they go from the town, which is like very like well lit and
bright and vivid.
Yeah, and then they go obviously to the castle scenes, and that stuff is like I remember as a kid,
creepy.
I was fucking scared. Like that was pretty horrifying, especially the scene where Belle gets like at the very end where like Gaston and all the townspeople show up with like the contrast of the torches.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
So
and they're like beating the door down with a log.
Yeah. Crazy mob village. Like that's so the mob mentality is so real and applicable to today. I don't know if I mentioned this one because I think this was number 69 for me. Well, I have a good friend here where I live who I met at the gym. He actually was on Broadway. He played Gaston on The Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
and
wow.
And him and his wife came over for Thanksgiving with my family 6 months ago. And I have two young nieces. And, of course, I put him on the spot because I'm a dick and I would do that. And he sang the Gaston song for them. And they lost it. They were like, this isn't like, they were like, there's no way this is happening. Like Gaston is singing us the Gaston song. It was so cool to see them.
Sick.
And I'm sitting there going, this is fucking sick. Like, I'm like, damn, dude. Like,
beforehand, you should have been like, hey, if you can send me some sides, I'll learn the LaFaux part and we'll just break out
that's
during
what people
dinner.
want to see.
It's like cycling. We're about to eat dinner. We don't need it. No. This needs to happen.
No. That's what they want.
It's hilarious. All right, guys. That'll do it for episode 224. Before we let the people go, any closing thoughts, words of wisdom? Banner, we'll start with you, although I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous, guys. Come on, let's pull over for those emergency vehicles. All right. I'm really disappointed in the lack of attention. Come on, it's not hard. They're big flashing lights. If you can't see that, you shouldn't be driving. We have bigger problems.
Oh, they see it. That's not the issue. I don't want to hear that. If you can't see it, you shouldn't be on the road.
That's what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question, Banner?
Of course, always.
This happened to me like 2 days ago. Funeral procession on the other side of the road.
Yeah, I got
Pull
nothing.
over for that?
Yeah,
On the other
got
side?
nothing.
Yeah. No, right? Come on.
They're not on the other side of the road.
If it was coming up behind me, I'd pull over, but not on the other side. I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
Yeah, that's a judgment call. Like if it doesn't look like that long of a line, I might. Maybe if I can tell that maybe it's military, I would pull over.
Okay, that's military police fine, but
yeah,
this was this was a hearse and like a mile long of cars.
Yeah,
no, I'm like,
not.
no, dude. Once the
I
hearse
would
goes
pull
by,
over
I'm
and let
going.
like maybe the first 5 or 6 cars because that's probably a family, and then yeah, we're.
But I'm on the other side. You know what am I doing? I don't know.
Just don't be a dick. It's not that hard.
This one I'll be a dick on that one.
Yeah, I don't think if they're not even on your side of the road, like what?
Yeah, I don't know who I'm helping in this situation.
Right? It probably hurts traffic on your side of the road. It's like basically the equivalent of rubbernecking. Interesting question though. Cycling, what advice do you have for the people, or is that your advice?
I guess that's my advice. Pull over for emergency vehicles, but not if someone's dead. I mean, they're already dead. They don't care about the traffic.
It's true. Maybe they did. Maybe that was their like post-life.
Honestly, if we're gonna pull over for somebody, yeah, like fuck the Hearst.
Maybe they died because we didn't pull over in the first place.
Honestly,
there you go.
Force them to be delayed. If you're about to bury me, take your sweet time. I'm not in any rush.
I actually kind of would enjoy the attention at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me milk this. You only die once. That sounds like a James Bond movie.
I think it is.
Oh, there you go. My advice, same as always, we're going to get your haircut. Just make smart choices. I got my haircut this week. There was a kid there. His dad was giving the barber the game plan, and this guy was all over the place. Just gave her bad coaching advice and fucked up the kid's hair, and that's it. I mean, for 4 weeks, that's what that kid looks like. Now, it's summer. He's not at school, but you might argue that that's worse. Like, I don't know if he has birthdays or pool parties he has to go to, but the kid looked like a fucking mop. So he's in trouble. So,
Horns, I've sent you a few great haircuts in the old text thread here recently. You want to explain a couple of those?
Yeah, there's one actually Cycle would really appreciate. A kid got his hair cut to look like Azteca, the soccer stadium in Mexico. Now, the problem is, so you can't see
I'll
the
send
pitch.
it to you.
Can't
please send
see
that to me because I
pitch.
don't even know how that would work.
So basically, his hair is like up, like the outside of the stadium.
Oh, so is it like a 90s rap cut?
Basically, but it's hollowed out. And if you're directly above him, which that's the thing, I don't know how you get in that position, you can see the pitch where they have like put the lines.
That's kind of cool. But if you really want to be like Azteca, you need like an aura of smoke on the top, just that's really true. Choking the players playing a layer of smog at elevation.
Maybe that was the next, like they were going to put like a bunch of hairspray on it too.
That would actually be hilarious.
Like,
it's just that deep of a level.
But the video, Banner, I don't know how that guy got in that position. He's like Mission Impossible, like hanging like above.
He's like hanging from above him.
But I was like, I mean, this is ridiculous, but you won't even see, like, I guess if he bends down to pick something up and tilts his head like this, you're like, wait, what the fuck is on your hair?
Let's break down. Yeah, please say that, because Azteca also has like cage wires, so because it's one of those intimidating places in stadiums on Earth, and I would love it if he just got really like detailed on this. What do
you tip after a haircut like that? Like let's say the haircut is $25. What's the tip?
Well, if it was Macaulay Culkin, it'd be a little piece of gum.
That's just more than Rob Schneider should have gotten.
Yeah.
So make smart choices or get your favorite soccer stadium carved into your head when you go get your haircut. One of the two.
Either or.
Yeah. You either need to be very prudent or we just need to go absolutely balls to the wall. No, don't hold back. All right, for our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, and the mad scientist,
Bye.
Brian Bowler. I'm the Mayor Chef. One sec. We are the Bro4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. Follow us on Twitter, Threads, Instagram at Bro4 Squad. You can find us on Letterboxd, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and especially YouTube if you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words. And our website, bro4squad.com, has all of our links to those places. Our squad blog, which is usually updated like once every other week, and our link to archive.org that has everything we've ever posted. Till next time, we'll see you at the movies as long as the movie we're seeing is less than an hour and 50 minutes. That's the cutoff that I have. I want to see Furiosa in theaters. It's 2:20.
I think I'm the defender of long movies on the pod.